the Madman. We've got all of the remaining neutrals revealed from Festival of Legends, which I think is a great way of setting up the reveals. Now we know the base, and this is a great example of like a neutral that you would love to know exists before reviewing all of the other cards. Instrument Tech, 2 mana 1/2, Battlecry, draw a weapon. This is exactly the type of card which is impossible to know the value of right now. It depends on how strong each class is getting musical weapons. So how strong is that weapon? Do you want to pay 2 mana to get a 1/2 and tutor it up? Depends on how strong the weapon is. Unpopular has been a 6 mana 5/5 undead with Deathrattle, summon a random 5-cost minion from the past. This card's really easy to evaluate. You had Cairn, a 6 mana 5/5, which Deathrattled to summon a 5/5, which didn't see play. The average 5-cost minion is generously a 5/5, but there's a lot of downside to that. It's not going to be better than Cairn. It's going to be worse than Cairn, so Unpopular has been. Will be pretty unpopular. Cover Artist, 4 mana 3/3 Battlecry, transform into a 3/3 copy of a minion. Tellurem was the 3/3/3, which transformed into a copy of a minion if you had no other 3 costs. So now you pay 1 more mana on that, and everyone can do it. No deck restriction. Tellurem was actually played when there was a really good, fairly low cost target to transform into. Carnivorous Cube had a really strong effect, and you had to sacrifice something to basically make a very strong card, so copying that card was very good. So if we get another really strong card, Cover Artist obviously gets a lot better. It's hard to have a card be that strong, because usually having that card means that that card had to take power away from something else in order to become that good. And because the stat line is set to 3/3, it means like the effect of the card needs to be really strong. We got an Air Guitarist, 1 mana 1/1, Battlecry, give your weapon +1 durability. Similar to Instrument Tech, is there going to be a weapon strong enough that you really want to play this card just to give it +1 durability? Seems unlikely to me for Air Guitarist, but yeah, giving your weapon +1 durability, that's a pretty small effect. So you need a really good weapon. Audio Medic, 2 mana 2/3 Rush, Finale. Gain lifesteal. The finale is when you spend the last of your mana. This card gets that ability. So let's break this card down. It's good in Arena. Okay, wait, chat's like correcting me. They're saying, hey, if you hand buff this card, that's pretty good, because when you hand buff cards, Rush and Lifesteal are effects that do benefit from hand buff. I agree with that. So consider it in your hand buff deck. Cowboys Soloist, 3 mana 4/2. Battlecry, if you control no other minions, deal 2 damage. The Soloists are a set of minions where if you control no other minions, you get an effect. So this tends to be more for the control decks, which don't play a lot of minions. So do you as a control deck want to, for 3 mana, get a 4/2 and deal 2 damage? No, you do not want to do that. And you can't actually play this in a mid-rangey deck because you'll probably have minions. And then you got a 3 mana 4/2. That's real bad. What were they thinking on this one? This is outlandishly bad. Were they like comparing this with Stormpike Commando and being like, whoa, Stormpike Commando, that was a 5 mana card. We're gonna give the Soloist a huge payoff. Wow. Anyways. Crowd Surfer, 1 mana 1/1 Murloc Deathrattle, give any other minion +1/+1 in this Deathrattle. The any has been capitalized to demonstrate that the other minion could be your opponent's minion. This has gotta be a meme card. Annoying Fan, 1 mana 1/2 Mech, Battlecry, choose a minion. It can't attack while this is alive. This card reminds me of Noble Sacrifice. You basically have to deal with one thing before you can just get back to your normal gameplay. So Annoying Fan is going to like permanently block something, but as long as you have another minion, it can attack and probably kill Annoying Fan. And then your other minion can just attack. It seems to be not enough effect to work, though some of my chat is convinced that Annoying Fan is overpowered when you hide it behind a taunt and then you basically permanently freeze something. Anyway, seems really bad. Seems like situational freeze, which often doesn't even freeze. Party Animal, 2 mana, 2/3. Battlecry, give +1/+1 to a minion of each type in your hand. It's a beast, and this is presumably made for the big amalgam payoff deck where you want to have multiple types of minions, and then you play the one-man band, and then woo? I'm surprised to see more multi-type card support. But hey, if you get even more of that, like maybe this could actually be a deck. Rowdy Fan, 3 mana 1/5 Quillbore. Battlecry, choose a minion. It has +4 attack while this is alive. It's actually kind of impressive stats for the cost, because you're getting 5/5 worth of stats, of which 4 is fast, just requires you to have a minion out there already. I think even if you were to just look at this as a one-time +4 buff, it wouldn't be too shabby. So the fact that it's permanent, like, yeah, I could see it. Could cause a lot of pressure in the early game. Of course, the big downside is you need to win the early game with your 1 or 2 drop, and then play your Rowdy Fan. That actually takes me right to CandleRazer, the 4 mana 3/3 with Divine Shield finale. Give adjacent minions Divine Shield. Now, this is a card that really wants you to be winning on turn 1, 2, and or 3. Because if you play this on 4, on curve, CandleRazer is a beast if you can actually land the double adjacent Divine Shield. And even if you just get one, it's pretty good. Pretty difficult to time though, obviously without the finale, CandleRazer is rather bad. And without the minions in play, obviously CandleRazer is pretty bad. So a really specific payoff of an early tempo deck or mid-rangey deck, which fights for the board on turns 1, 2, and 3, and then like gets the payoff of 4 mana 3/3 for triple Divine Shield. Great when that works. Obsessive Fan, 4 mana 2/6. Battlecry, choose a minion. It has stealth while this is alive. It's a 4 mana 2/6. I don't know. I can't think of any minion that's important enough to hide temporarily that you would put the Obsessive Fan in. The only thing I can really think of when I stare at this card is, if only I had Obsessive Fans. Mishmash Mosher, 8 mana 3/10, undead with Rush. After this attacks, gain +1 attack and attack a random enemy minion. This is similar to Batterhead from a while ago, where you got to control the attacks, and it was an 8 mana 3/12 Rush that could attack as many enemy minions as you wanted to. Mishmash Mosher has a little bit less health, but gains attack after your first attack, and your first attack will presumably kill something that, you know, with low health, so it'll still have a decent amount of health. And then you get the +1 attack. Given that the Batterhead did not see much play at all, I cannot imagine Mishmash Mosher seeing play, though it is a big undead. If you can give the Mishmash Mosher immune, it's worth noting that this is a board clear, and will leave Mishmash Mosher at a pretty high attack value. We got Photographer Fizzle, 3 mana 3/3 legendary. Battlecry, take a snapshot of your current hand and shuffle it into your deck. It's a really cool card. The card that gets shuffled into your deck is Fizzle Snapshot, a 2 mana card, which adds the snapshotted cards to your hand. That's a 2 mana generate 9 cards card. In essence, I think the card is very good for attrition control decks. Basically, your deck needs to have a game plan of getting to turn 20 plus, so that you can have enough time to draw the Fizzle Snapshot and to play all the cards that were snapshotted. So I can see Fizzle as a strong choice if the meta slows down, if the control options are strong enough, if the combo doesn't just destroy the control, stuff like that. Blizzard appears to have learned from Shock Spitter, because we have Freebird, 4 mana 2/2 charging beast. Charge, oh so scary. Battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each other Freebird you've played this game. So because charge is so scary on a scaling minion, you have a 4 mana 2/2 charge. Wow. But boy is it really hard to get multiple +1/+1s on this Freebird. It would seem like the Hunter has the best arsenal for that, but Freebird is just prohibitively expensive because they probably learned from Shock Spitter, and they're like, okay, let's make sure that this card is very, very, very hard to actually pull off. Rolling Stone, a 2 mana 2/2 elemental with Rush. Battlecry, if the last card you played costs 1, gain +1/+1. I am in admiration of the card name. Very cute. It's a 3/3 elemental with rush if you play it on curve, so I can see the Rolling Stone. It is enough of a difficult prerequisite to hit that I could obviously see Rolling Stone not being good enough to run, on the other hand. Next up, we got the Paparazzi, the 3-mana 3/4 Battlecry Discover legendary minion. For this, I must quote the wise words and the long memories of Twitch chat. Long ago, there were class cards that were 3-mana 2/2 Discover. Then, the furry 3-mana 2/3 Discover. Then, 3-mana 2/4s. Then, you had the 3-mana 3/4s with conditionals. And now, finally, here we are at the 3-mana 3/4 to discover a fairly good card, a legendary minion. So this is it. This might be peak power for like a card that does not incur card disadvantage because you're card neutral, obviously, after playing this. 3-mana 3/4 was respected as a stat line for quite some time. It's still fairly good. Yeah, seems great. In Death Knights, you could bypass rune restrictions if you got lucky enough to discover the big Death Knight legendaries. I think Paparazzi has a reasonable chance at being the strongest neutral of the set. I guess the comparison card would be Stonehill Defender, which was a 3-mana 1/4 taunt to discover a taunt minion. I think the 3-mana 3/4 discover a legendary minion beats that out. And finally, we have Concert Promo Drake, 8-mana 8/8 tradable dragon with Finale, destroy an enemy minion. I think the biggest thing about this card is it shows that tradable is now evergreen, which is to say can be printed alongside locations in other sets. This is kind of cool, where they're like able to bring other sets mechanics into, you know, forward ones. Card isn't good and constructed, but, you know, great in arena. Kind of filler, but showcases tradable. Cool. I love tradable. It's a good mechanic. So that's the neutral base of Festival of Legends. Great way to kick off the reveal season to know what we have to work with in the neutrals to evaluate the class cards. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the cards are going to work together in each class.